welcome everyone. Our recorder has started. This is the 7th meeting of Poem Talk, and today we're going to be reading a poem by Linh. Linh is a poet that was born in 1963. This is an image of Linh, and we're going to be reading his poem called Eating Fried Chicken. Here are some pictures of Linh. These are more pleasant and happier than the image on the first page. He looks very serious here. This is during a reading from a few years ago, and these are just kind of more casual photos. Have you guys ever attended a poetry reading? Have you ever gone to read someone read poetry live? Have you ever read your own poems in a live setting? And while you guys are responding to that in the chat box or just over the mic, a few weeks ago I attended a live reading by Simon Armitage, who is the subject of Poem Talk number 5. So I was able to see him read live in Kent, Ohio, which is in Northeast Ohio near where I am. So that was pretty exciting. But have you guys ever heard someone read poetry live? Maybe not someone famous. Today's actually the 100-year anniversary of the birth of Dylan Thomas, who's a famous poet. So Jordan, you've attended a poetry reading. Where was it, and who read? What was that experience like? You don't remember? Okay. Okay, your microphone's a little bit muffled, just so you know, but I was able to catch most of what you said. Yeah, there's this idea of a poetry slam, which is kind of different than a poetry reading. A poetry slam is, I guess, kind of more aggressive and more intense than just a poetry reading. The one I went to was pretty tame. He just had a big notebook, read from the pages, told a few stories, and he went on his way back to Ireland. So I definitely encourage you guys to attend. Hopefully one day we can have a live poem talk. I think that'd be fun. But for now, we're going to keep it on the digital realm here, and we'll talk about this poem. So Linh, who is the subject of our poem talk today, he was born in 1963 in Saigon, Vietnam. So he was born in 1963. How old is he today? How old is Linh on today, which is May 2nd, 2014? I'll have to break out my calculator. How old is Linh? I think he's actually one of the younger poets we've read in Poem Talk. How old is Linh? If he was born in 1963. Yep, Jordan, very good. He's 51. Awesome. Well, his current profession, he's a professor. He actually works in Pennsylvania at University of Penn. Very good, Jordan. Yeah, that's right. So let's talk about some of the ideas behind this poem. I'm going to get your brains in gear before we read it. And we'll listen to a recording, then hopefully Jordan will read it, I'll read it, maybe Alexis will read it, and maybe if someone else pops in the session, they'll read it as well. But before we start to read this poem, let's talk about some of the ideas that are inside the poem. So let's talk about this word revolt. What does the word revolt mean? Revolt. What's that mean to you? Yeah, Jordan, go ahead. Feel free to jump in. Good one, yeah. That's a good example. So the Revolutionary War. So we can talk about that specifically. So who revolted with that? It was the American colonists versus... Yep, go ahead. That's right, yeah. So the tiny colonists who had little support, little supplies, versus a huge British Empire. Now, what was one of the reasons they revolted? There were a lot, but what was one of them?
One of the reasons that they revolted was they felt like they weren't given the freedom and expect that they deserved what their share of others.
Exactly, yeah. It's a lot of it was taxation too, right? So the British Empire was taxing the colonists, and it all started over tea. So remember the British Tea Party. It was over tea, something kind of small and silly that led to a lot of bloodshed.
$5 for, it was like $5 access to a thing of tea. Do it all in the heart.
Yeah, see, I don't know the exact figures, but it was just an increase in the cost, and they weren't going to have it. It was just too much, and so they revolted. Now, what are some other revolutions that we can think of? Do you guys know any other revolutions, or what are some other groups that often revolt? Think about like in prisons or schools. Usually it's people being picked on, right? People who think that they're being treated unfairly, and so they revolt. Have you ever revolted from your parents? Have you ever done anything that it was just an expression of how you were just fed up with it?
What did you say? I was helping my dad for something. I'm sorry.
Yeah, have you guys ever done anything to revolt against your parents? Maybe to make a statement that you weren't going to have it, you weren't taking it?
Yeah, I have. I actually, I think it was, I
That's severe, okay. So what about this word revolution? What's a revolution? Can you define that for me? And that can be anybody, not just Jordan.
Revolution, and I think the revolution, I think of the kind of events, a change in the
Awesome, yeah, so a change. I like that. That's a good word. So a change. And we talked about the American Revolution being caused by tea, so something kind of small and silly. I'm going to mute you, Jordan. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So, just what we're reading today is a poem called Eating Fried Chicken. And what do you guys think a poem called Eating Fried Chicken will be about? This is before you've even read it, before you've seen anything about the poem. What do you think? Just early predictions based on this title. And this, Jordan, Alexis, or Miracle, you all can respond. What do you think it's going to be about? So good, Jordan. Jordan said eating food. Yeah, exactly. So we can expect a poem about food, about eating a specific kind of food, probably. We really don't know, do we? But it's a strange name for a title, isn't it? A lot of poems have very serious names. This one seems kind of common. We all eat fried chicken. Maybe this poem's going to be about a common experience that we've all had. Now let's take a look here. So this is the poem we're reading today. It's called Eating Fried Chicken by Dinh. And I have a recording of the poet reading it. But I think what we'll do is I'll read it first, and you guys can think about it. And then we'll get your responses. And then we'll listen to the poet. And maybe Jordan can read it. And maybe Alexis or Miracle can read it. And then we'll kind of break it down. We'll try to figure out what's going on here. So I'll read the poem first. Eating Fried Chicken by Dinh. I hate to admit this, brother, but there are times when I'm eating fried chicken, when I think about nothing else but eating fried chicken, when I utterly forget about my family, honor, and country, the various blood debts you owe me, my past humiliations and my future crimes, everything in short, but the crispy skin on my fried chicken. But I'm not altogether evil. There are also times when I will refuse to lick or swallow anything that's not generally available to mankind, which is, when you think about it, absolutely nothing at all. And no doubt that's why apples can cause riots, and meat brings humiliation, and each gasp of air will fill one's lungs with gunpowder and smoke. Okay, so that's probably your first experience with this. What's your first reactions to that poem? First thoughts, guys. First thoughts. What emotion do you feel hearing that? Does it make you angry? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you think?
When I look at this, it kind of like despair, kind of, when I think of it, and it's also, I think it's close to a metaphor where they talk about community.
Okay, great. That's awesome. Yeah, as you guys give me ideas, I'm going to enter them on the board here. So keep giving me ideas. What are your reactions? Do we like this poem? Is it entertaining? Is it a good poem? What do you think? What's your first reaction? What do you think, Alexis or Miracle? What do you guys think? Kind of confusing? Do you guys know what's going on here? Well, what is going on with this poem? What do we know about the people here? Is this a group of people? Who's speaking? It begins with, I hate to admit this, brother, but there are times. So it looks like we have two people, right? Who do you think this I is? Who's saying, I hate to admit this? Who's talking in the poem? Yeah, so it's a good chance it's Linh, it's the poet. Whoever it is, this speaker is one person. And who's this poet talking to? Very good, Miracle. Yeah, Miracle says it's the first person. Jordan says they're talking to a brother, right? He says, I hate to admit this, brother. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be maybe a blood relative. It could be a comrade or just a buddy. We don't necessarily know, but it looks like this is a conversation between two people. And what's he talking about in the first section here? He's talking about doing what? Very simply, he's eating fried chicken. Yeah, Jordan, do you have something to say? Go ahead.
There are things like that in
You were muffled there. I didn't hear you. Sorry. What'd you say?
wait, let me see my iPhone. Can you hear me better now? I think that's yes. I said I didn't hear half the stuff you said because you think we read something too. It's like, okay, but no.
Okay. Technology's not helping us here. Okay, so we have a conversation between one person and another person. It's just two people conversing. Let's listen to the poem again and see if we can get a better sense of what's going on. So listen to Linh reading this poem.
Eating fried chicken. I hate to admit this, brother, but there are times when I'm eating fried chicken, when I think about nothing else but eating fried chicken, when I utterly forget about my family, honor, and country, the various
Okay, so there's the poet reading the poem itself. Maybe it's good to go into it a bit more generally. So I'll tell you what I'm thinking when I read this. In the beginning, he's telling his friend that he likes to eat fried chicken, that he really, really enjoys eating that fried chicken. He becomes so involved in eating it that he forgets about certain things. He forgets about his family, about honor, about country, and he forgets about various blood debts that this person owes him. So our speaker has been hurt by this person, but this person who hurt him has made him chicken, and the chicken is really, really delicious. It's so good that when he eats it, he sometimes forgets about how he's been victimized, how he's been hurt. He forgets about his past humiliations, his future crimes. He forgets about everything but the crispy skin on my fried chicken.
I'm taking it that the fried chicken is kind of a metaphor for, and basically that's his getaway from the war. But you talk about fried chicken, I don't think it's actually fried chicken, you know, or recitation from that fried chicken. It's his own little getaway, his own little escape.
That's possible. It certainly is true. It could just be chicken too. I've had lots of meals where it's that great. You kind of forget about the things that have hurt you. Maybe you've had experience where a friend, or maybe you've seen movies where people will make meals for someone that they've hurt. Maybe at a funeral, a meal is served, and the meal is just so good that you forget about the sadness and the pain. So food does have this power. Food can help us forget about certain things. But then he changes things in the second stanza. Oh yeah, George, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I guess that's not
Okay, that's all right. Thank you for participating too. But so in the second stanza, he changes things. He says, "But I'm not altogether evil. There are also times when I will refuse to lick or swallow anything that's not generally available to mankind." So here, I read this to say that, you know, I realize that this food is great, but sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes I will not forget you. I won't let you trick me. He says, I will refuse to lick or swallow anything. So he's not going to let you trick him. You can give him a present after you break his heart, but sometimes it's not going to work. Sometimes he's going to remember the pain that you've caused. And he ends his poem with really interesting lines, and I want you guys maybe to help me understand this. So he says, "And no doubt that's why apples can cause riots." Can apples cause riots? We talked about the Tea Party with the American Revolution causing a riot, something as small as tea causing a riot, but what does this mean? Can apples cause riots? Okay, Alexis says no. What do you think, Alexis?
The reason I think that an apple can cause a riot is you think about one person has an apple, standing on an apple roof or whatever, and he throws the apple down on the sheet, and they hit somebody, and they think, they're in the crowd, they think, oh, you hit me, and they start fighting. When, a person starts fighting them, then you got this huge riot breaking out, and people fight and do stupid things that are the smallest reasons why they're doing it for an apple. That's how I think.
Okay, I like that thought. What do you think, Alexis? Alexis, you don't think so? What do you think, Miracle? to wait and see what Alexis is going to type in here. I'm assuming that Alexis is typing your response in the chat box. You know, Jordan, you said something really cool. You said the smallest things causing problems, and I think that that's the heart of it. We'll see if Alexis mentions something. I'm not sure if she's going to. One thing I think of, what's something you guys use every single day? Here we go. Here's Alexis's thought. So Alexis says, I mean, how is it even possible to start a riot with an apple? They don't talk or anything, such as a human can. So it wouldn't be an apple starting the riot, it would be the person. Okay, that's a good thought. So she's saying that, of course, apples can't cause riots. It's people. People cause revolutions. That is very deep, yeah. But what about apples that one day cost 50 cents and the next day cost $1? Maybe you guys go to Starbucks, maybe you guys go to McDonald's, and say every day you eat your lunch and it's $3, and it's been $3 for years. Well, then one day it's $4. You think you'd be upset? You probably wonder, well, why are they increasing?
Well, if I had if I could put my attention to this, I wouldn't be upset enough for it to be a riot. Like over here, I mean, my nice lunch, you know, something's a little higher, you know, taxes are higher. Americans would have like what, $7 trillion or something like that. So Americans would go, and I'm just gonna be like, oh, I'm just gonna eat my lunch and get out of here. It's not gonna be tip taxes. It's not gonna be that big of a deal. It's just a little bit more expensive.
Okay, good thoughts. What about more prices? So say your meal's a little bit more. Well, let's double the price. Let's triple. Let's quadruple. Is there some point where you say that's just too much? That this quarter pounder isn't worth $14? What point do you draw the line? Is there a point where you get angry?
Another thing, you look at gas prices. Well, I don't know how most of them would be old, but probably when you first got your car, they were like $1. I know when my dad first got his car, it was like 39 cents. You don't see people rioting over that. It's like triple, quadruple, even higher than that. And then you don't see people rioting like that.
Okay, yeah, I definitely agree that higher prices do lead people to get angry, but maybe they don't revolt. But I think in some countries they do. Some countries they get pretty angry because every aspect of their life is taxed. People do get upset though. You look at increases in something like Netflix. Netflix increases the charge for a month of service a few dollars. People get angry. People get fired up. So maybe apples can cause riots. Apples that cost more. But I agree with Alexis that it's people all the time that cause riots. Jordan, would you like to read the poem for us?
Yeah, sure. It says, I hate to admit this, brother, but there are times when I'm eating fried chicken, when I think about something else but eating fried chicken, or nothing else but eating fried chicken, when I utterly forget about my family, honor, and country. There are various blood debts you owe me, my humiliations and my future crimes, everything, in short, from the crispy skin to my fried chicken. But when I'm not altogether equal, there are also times when I refuse to lick or swallow anything that is not generally available to mankind, which is, if you think about it, absolutely nothing at all. And also, no doubt, that's why apples can cause riots and meat brings humiliation, which eat with and each gas with air, with oil, both lungs, with gunpowder and smoke.
Okay, great job reading. Thanks for that. Jordan, what do you think about this line here where he says, but I'm not altogether evil, There are also times when I will refuse to lick or swallow anything that's not generally available to mankind. What are things that are not generally available to mankind? That line really confuses me. What do you make of that?
Okay, so when I think about that line, it's like, when I think of it, he says not all the other people. He's talking about basically we're killing another animal for food, which a lot of things do, but at the same time, you have to think about, I don't know. It's kind of confusing, you're right.
Yeah. Okay, so here's he says, but I'm not altogether evil. That comes right after all this material up here. So he says, yeah, I'm not altogether evil. I enjoy the chicken a lot. There are times when I can look past the things you've done to me and really enjoy this chicken, but sometimes no. Sometimes I can't look past it. And I refuse to lick or swallow anything that's not generally available to mankind. It's that last line that confuses me. To me, he's saying that, there are times when I do enjoy this chicken. I'll ignore the evil things you've done to me. Yes, you've hurt me in the past. But other times, no. Other times, I can't do it. And I can't kind of let you lie to me. What do you think of that?
Okay. I'm sorry. I was talking about that. What did you say? We're about to make dinner.
Alright, well, we'll wrap up here really quickly here.
No, it's fine. I was just, what you saying?
This last line is just interesting. And the part in the parentheses as well. He says that, which is when you think about it, absolutely nothing at all. There's a lot to consider here. That's not generally available to mankind, which is when you think about it, absolutely nothing at all. So I guess just to kind of wrap things up here, what do you think of this poem? Do you like this poem? Is it effective? Let's start with one concrete question for you. So what's the mood of this poem? What emotion does the poet have in this poem?
Well, when I think about this poem, I think he has mixed emotions because at times he's like, oh yeah, this fried chicken is really good, and then he thinks about it and he's going for killing animals. This is inhumane. He thinks about himself because he's eating another animal. That's what I think. What I think.
Okay, I like that. I agree. He's kind of tortured by it, isn't he? He likes to eat that chicken, but sometimes he just realizes that they're being tricked. This person is trying to manipulate him. This person makes him this chicken, which he knows he loves. He knows he loves this chicken. And sometimes it works. Sometimes he forgets about how, oh, this person's been mean to him. Other times, though, he won't do it. So he's kind of tortured. Now, what does this say about people? Do you think you're the same way? That someone could make you maybe your favorite food after they've hurt you? Would you forgive them? Would you give them a second chance?
Well, I think about times when people have actually hurt me, and not that I've actually hurt other people, because I've done it before. I'm not gonna lie and say I haven't hurt anyone before. But there's times when you can forgive people, there's times when you can't forgive people, and forgiveness is always the best thing to do. I forgive and forget, yes, most of the time. Sometimes I don't.
Okay, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, so I think it kind of shows how people do have ability to forgive other people. But the thing is, we're also keen on seeing ourselves being manipulated. So if someone's trying to put something past us, they're trying to make us our favorite food because they've done us wrong, and we could say, okay, yeah, this is great chicken, but you hurt me before and I will not forget. So don't think that I'm forgetting. You're kind of foolish, aren't you, if someone really hurts you, but someone makes you your favorite food and you forgive them. I mean, think about that. What do you think about someone that, say, really hurts you? Maybe they say something really mean, but the next day they give you a candy bar. Does it make things okay? Are things okay then?
No, I don't think that makes things okay. When I think about forgiveness, it's not you, it's not you just giving somebody something for, an eye for an eye. That's basically what you're saying. You don't two rights don't make a wrong. That's kind of one. But you can't really win forgiveness with physical objects. You have to earn the forgiveness back through emotions. So I give you a candy bar because I caused you pain. This is like elementary school stuff. But if I give you a candy bar because I caused you pain or whatever, it's not going to make up. You gotta rebuild that friendship that you just broke, basically.
Yeah, that's an awesome thought. So you have to earn your forgiveness. That's fantastic. So you have to earn your forgiveness. So it's not just this transaction, and the poet's kind of saying that. Yeah, the chicken's great, but that's not enough. You've hurt me before, and I won't forget things. It's kind of a warning, isn't it, to this person? He says that there are certain times that I'm not going to lick or swallow anything. Certain times I'm not going to take it. So it's kind of an interesting poem. So who's the powerful one here? Is this person who's been tricked powerful? Or how about this person making the chicken? Who's more powerful here?
The person who's been tricked, he's more powerful because he has the upper hand.
And he has the chicken, doesn't he? Isn't that funny? So the person who's been victimized, he has that chicken which he loves, and he also has that knowledge that he can't recognize that he's been hurt. He can see that he's being tricked and manipulated. So he's smarter than this person. He says, I recognize your little game to try to trick me, but I won't be tricked. Okay, so that's interesting. Let's do it one more time from Lyndon, and I'll let you guys go.
Okay, the next poem is called Eating Fried Chicken. Eating fried chicken. I hate to admit this, brother, but there are times when I'm eating fried chicken, when I think about nothing else but eating fried chicken, when I utterly forget about my family, honor, and country, the various blood debts you owe me, my past humiliations and my future crimes, everything in short but the crispy skin on my fried chicken. But I'm not altogether evil. There are also times when I will refuse to lick or swallow anything that's not generally available to mankind, which is, when you think about it, absolutely nothing at all. And no doubt that's why apples can cause riots, and meat brings humiliation, and each gasp of air will fill one's lungs with gunpowder and smoke.
Okay, that's one last time. Any closing thoughts here before we wrap up, guys? Do you want to say one last thing about the poem?
It wasn't that bad. It was a good poem, and it's over like just have to think about it.
Okay, I agree. Good thoughts. Yeah, lots to think about here. It's a different kind of poem. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Alexis and Miracle, do you have any last thoughts here? Is it effective? Do you like it? What do you think? Okay, Alexis, you can let me know what you think about that. Alright, guys. Well, thank you for attending. I transferred a copy so you can look at it yourself. Feel free to discuss in our Poem Talk board. Thank you for attending. I'll be around here for a little bit longer. Everyone have a great afternoon and weekend, alright? Thank you for attending.